So, what's the real secret to outstanding achievement? Is it just raw talent? Or are you born a genius? Well, what if it's something else entirely? Today, we are diving deep into Angela Duckworth's game-changing book, Grit, which is all about the incredible power of mixing passion with perseverance. The book kicks off with a really personal story. Growing up, the author, Angela Duckworth, was constantly reminded by her father, you're no genius. It wasn't necessarily mean, it was just his way of saying her natural smarts had a limit, and he was worried that would hold her back in life. And this is where the story gets so good. Years later, Duckworth wins a MacArthur Fellowship, which everyone calls a Genius Grant. And what did she win it for? For her research proving that what we actually accomplish in life has way more to do with our passion and our perseverance than our so-called innate talent. Talk about irony. And that idea brings us to the first major takeaway from the book. Our whole cultural obsession with talent, it might actually be holding us back. For ages, we've been kind of trapped inside this myth of natural ability. I mean, we love the stories, right? The effortless genius, the prodigy who was just born with it. But Duckworth argues that when we focus so much on talent, we totally miss what actually leads to success. Things like effort. So here's the key formula. Talent is what you have naturally, sure, but grit is how you use it. And Duckworth found that effort literally counts twice. First, you take your talent and you combine it with effort, and that builds your skill. But then you take that skill and apply more effort, and that's what creates real achievement. So grit, that sustained effort, is the real multiplier. Okay, so what exactly is grit? Duckworth breaks it down into two simple core components. And the definition is just so powerful because it's so simple. Grit is having passion and perseverance for your really long-term goals. It's about sticking with one single top-level goal for a very long time. Now, what's really fascinating is how she defines passion. It's not about that intense, fleeting obsession. It's about consistency. It's about being loyal to your interests year in and year out. And perseverance? Well, that's just the good old-fashioned hard work and resilience to keep going, day after day, especially when you hit a wall. Which, of course, leads to the question the book asks you directly: how gritty are you? It's worth a moment of reflection, right? Do you have a big, long-term goal you're passionate about? And how do you handle it when things get really tough? But here's the great news. Grit isn't some fixed trait you're born with. This chart shows data from thousands of American adults, and it shows that, on average, grit actually tends to increase as we get older. Now, this could be because older generations were raised to value it more, or, and this is the really hopeful part, it could be that we can all mature into it over time. And that is such a powerful idea, isn't it? It means grit isn't something you either have or you don't. You can actually grow it. So let's look at how that's done. The central message here is that grit is way more flexible than we think. It's really a set of skills and mindsets, psychological assets, she calls them, that you can absolutely cultivate and develop from the inside out. Duckworth gives us 4 key stages for growing grit. It starts with interest. You got to find something that just genuinely fascinates you. Then comes practice. That's the daily discipline of deliberately trying to improve. Third is purpose, the belief that your work matters to other people. And finally, there's hope, that resilience to get back up after you've been knocked down, which, let's be honest, is essential at every single stage. To really nail down the power of purpose, Duckworth shares this classic little story about 3 bricklayers. Someone asks them what they're doing. The first one says, "I'm laying bricks." The second says, "I'm building a church." But the third one, he says, "I am building the house of God." See, the first has a job, the second has a career, but that third one has a calling. And that deep sense of purpose is what fuels grit. But growing grit isn't just some solo mission. Our environments, the world around us, plays a huge part in shaping it from the outside in. Turns out the people and the cultures around us matter a lot. The book talks about things like wise parenting, which means being both supportive and demanding. And it talks about the importance of creating a culture of grit, say on a team, where high expectations and passion are just the norm. Basically, grit is contagious. And this plugs directly into that idea of hope. Duckworth leans heavily on Carol Dweck's famous research on mindset. If you have a growth mindset, the belief that you can actually improve your abilities, you're so much more likely to persevere. I mean, it makes sense, right? If you don't think you can get better, why would you even bother trying? So let's bring it all home. Why is understanding and building grit so incredibly important for every single one of us?
Because as Duckworth points out, so much of the time, our limits are self-imposed. We stop ourselves way before we reach our true potential. We try something, we fail, and we decide, well, that's it, I've hit my ceiling. But what if that ceiling was just an illusion? What if we just needed a little more grit to push right through it?
And in the end, it all comes down to this simple, powerful idea. Being gritty isn't about never failing. It's about being willing to get back up one more time than you fall. The question this book leaves you with is, what could you achieve if you decided to rise that 8th time?